welcome to Hefsel Weekly. In this week's episode, we will talk about the flood that just hit Spain, which took the lives of dozens of people, how a lost artifact from the famous author of Dracula, Bram Stoker, was discovered, and the latest updates from the conflict in the Middle East. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's get started with the floods in Spain. Over the course of these few days, Spain received a year's worth of rain, and such a heavy amount of rainfall decimated the countryside. The storm hit the country this Tuesday, and it is estimated that it killed over 158 people. The storm hit hard, flooding towns and roads, overflowing rivers, and leaving thousands without power or water. The region that got hit the hardest was most definitely the Valencia region. The Spanish Minister for Territorial Policy, Angel Victor Torres, said, "There are dozens of missing people. We cannot confirm that number, but it is clear that as more days pass and they do not appear, the more likely it is that we will have no hope of finding them alive." Over 1,000 military personnel have been deployed to Valencia to aid the search and rescue operations. An amateur historian has uncovered a forgotten short story by Bram Stoker, written just 7 years before he wrote his iconic Gothic novel, Dracula. While exploring the archives at the National Library of Ireland, Brian Cleary came across the 134-year-old ghost story titled Gibbet Hill. Originally published in a Dublin newspaper in 1890, this eerie tale dates back to the same period when Stoker laid the foundations for his masterpiece, Dracula. Since then, Gibbet Hill has remained unnoticed and undocumented until Cleary's recent discovery brought it back into the light. According to the U.S. Secretary of State, around 8,000 North Korean soldiers are now stationed in Russia near the border with Ukraine. Antony Blinken warned that Russia is gearing up to send these troops into combat in the coming days. The U.S. believes North Korea has deployed a total of 10,000 troops to Russia, initially placing them at training bases in the Federation's far eastern regions, such as Siberia. Most of these soldiers have since been moved to the Kursk region, positioned along the Ukrainian border. While all of this took place, more than 9 civilians lost their lives in the conflict. Phil Lesh, the influential bassist and co-founder of the Grateful Dead, has sadly passed away. The announcement on his Instagram stated, "Phil Lesh, bassist and founding member of the Grateful Dead, passed peacefully this morning, surrounded by family and filled with love. He brought immense joy to everyone around him and leaves behind a lasting legacy of music and love. We ask that the Lesh family's privacy be respected during this time." While in the Middle East, an airstrike conducted by the IDF on the Beit Lahia province in Gaza has taken the lives of 93 people according to the Gaza Rescue Agency. Gaza Civil Defense Agency also reported that 40 people were missing, with many victims belonging to the extended Abu Nasser family, along with Palestinians displaced from other areas. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller described the strike as a horrifying incident with a horrifying result. While in Iran, a 69-year-old German-Iranian political scientist named Jamshid Sharmad was executed this Monday. The Irani regime claimed that Sharmad was executed because of playing a role in a 2008 mosque bombing in the southern city of Shiraz, in which 14 people were killed and 300 wounded. Sharmad was sentenced to death in February 2023 for the capital offense of corruption on earth, a sentence later confirmed by Iran's Supreme Court. After the incident, Berlin officially warned Iran and claimed that this extrajudicial killing of a hostage would bring serious consequences to the regime. Jamshid Sharmad was kidnapped in the United Arab Emirates and illegally taken to Iran, where he was sentenced to death without a fair trial, said Amiri Mukhadam, whose organization closely monitors executions in Iran. And with that, we conclude this week's headlines. It was Hefsel Weekly, and as usual, thank you for listening. We hope to see you next week once again at the same time at the same place.